tipping point. Anyway, welcome to YouTube. You knew where you were at when you were watching. Welcome to Mountain High Time, where the time and the place are same, because we're in the mountains. It's kind of high around here, and it's the time that we're on the radio. We're just waiting for the Revolution.Radio interlude to be over, and then we'll be live there too. I believe, anyway. Sound check. Do I sound all right? You guys probably got even more sound than you bargained for, because something's wrong with the mic. So let me go over there and see what it is. I forgot to patch in Rumble this time. Oopsies. Oop. Little Freedom, Magic Hatter, YOLO Mofos. Let me put this thing on here. See what I sound like. Oh yeah. You guys got all kinds of background noise. Beautiful. See if I can fix that before the other one goes live. Nope, that's it. That's all I get. There's a truck stop out back, so, you may get a little extra sound. All right, we got one more minute, and then we'll be live on the radio. Radio. I'm a radio ho. What's going on, Alinda? How's it going? I'm gonna go ahead and like my own video, because I need all the thumbs up I can get. You hear my intro going in the background there. Sorry about that non-birthday gift. It's all right. I had one of those birthdays, midlife crisis. Damn, I'm old. So's everybody, though. We are near 50. Damn, half a century. Can't believe it. I turned 46 this year. So you guys are still old. I'm just kidding. Uh-oh. Another virgin is in my chat room. I'm going to fix that. Suzuki? Job? All right. And welcome to Mountain High Time. I'm your host, Ransom Godwin, right here on Revolution.Radio, where the internet never sleeps. Or something like that. I always forget the thingamajig. Little Freedom, happy birthday in the chat room over there on YouTube. If you'd like to join us at Mountain High Time, because we're multicasting on Revolution.Radio, listener supported radio. Excuse me. I got to take these off, or I'll just stutter away, hearing myself in the background. It's kind of, woo. I know some people like that. I don't. I don't want to hear myself. Oh, it's a wonder you guys want to hear me. And all those people that are a captive audience on Revolution.Radio. Thanks for joining Mountain High Time. And we're going to look at some of the news headlines across the internet. And for those of you guys that missed the MIAC this week, I found out there's a good reason. So some good shows are coming over on Adapt 2030. I guess he's got some things in the work and he spaced it. So that's why we missed the other show. He was caught up in time zones or something like that. And yeah, so this will be the MIAC and the Mini Ice Age Conversations, which are the same thing. And this is Mountain High Time. Anyway, yes, I did a dab. I didn't do a jab. Sue me. Anyway, let me go back to my broadcasting software so I know what is going on. So let's check out these first articles right here. This one's wonderful. It kind of, shows you how things are going in the world. I'm not going to read it to you because everybody pretty much with any brain knows that almost every country in the world is now a no-go for American citizens, with travel advisories for almost every single area on Earth. They not liking us. Maybe they not liking the American human being. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, how snatching American citizens turned into a tool of hostile governments. Turned into a tool for hostile governments. Hopefully they're just tools. Kidnapping tools. But we never know here in the States. When you see one of these stories online about an American abroad, I'm sure you guys have seen that show where people, smuggle things up and keister them and go to the wrong country, and then they're crying because they're in a foreign land with a death sentence or a life sentence, or they got flogged in public or whatever it is. But this is somewhat different. This is governments using American citizens as leverage towards our government, because everybody knows our government now is kind of a, when it comes to being a strong force in the world, other than being able to drop warheads on foreheads. We're pretty good at that. Treating people all right around the world, fairly, at least, from country to country. I don't know if you could really say that. But it's no wonder why there's blowback, as Ron Paul says. Blowback, which he predicted long before, we invaded the Middle East and started knocking down 7 countries that, they already had kind of planned, as according to General Gates there, as he bragged about being in the know. When he bragged that, he went into the Pentagon, they told him, hey, did you know we're going to knock over 7 countries? And he was like, really? Yeah, it's all planned out. And then we had 9/11. What a coincidence. Anyway, you better watch your back when traveling abroad, because governments are snatching American citizens, using them as leverage against our country. But I wouldn't put your hopes up that your country would actually have your best interest if you're just a lone American citizen out there. Look how they're treating us at home, and that'll show you about how much they feel like you're worth abroad. Unless you're famous, unless you have alphabets in your name, you might get a government to help you out. But if not, so sorry. Just 4,000 steps a day may be enough to prevent Alzheimer's disease. Santa Monica, California, as few as 4,000 steps a day can maintain brain health and help prevent Alzheimer's disease. A new study suggests. Researchers in the U.S. and Canada explain that simple exercise enhance critical brain regions involved in memory and learning, thereby reducing risk of dementia. I don't know if this will work for you stoners, because, I have bouts of dementia daily, but then I remember what I'm doing, so it's all matter. Gray matter. It's all, there. Anyway, in this study, scientists examined the brain of over 10,000 individuals using MRI scans. They discovered that those that exercised regularly had more pronounced gray matter, which is essential for processing information, and white matter, which connects various brain regions. Additionally, the hippocampus, a key area for memory, was also more prominent in individuals who exercise. Guess what also does this to you? Why don't you look up marijuana and gray matter after a certain age? Evidently, when teenagers smoke marijuana for the first time, a weird kind of inflammation happens in the brain. I don't know if it's inflammation as you would think of it. I might be using the wrong word. But an increase in gray matter actually grows in their brain. Is that good or bad? Scientists still don't know, so I'm not making any claims. Let's move over to Las Vegas and check out some of the trends of this new year. This new year that seems to be the split on where we're going as a civilization. Are we going down the dark road of dystopian control by a weird, government that's just, let's face it, the elites are into weird stuff. They always have been. It's a known secret. It's a known conspiracy, not a conspiracy theory, but a conspiracy of weirdos that get together. Everybody's heard of Bohemian Grove and other things like that. Not to mention Davos, Bilderberg, the World Economic Forum, yada, 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 with all of those nice people, or as the guy got mad, I'm not going to say etc., 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 etc. But anyway, in Vegas, a bunch of weddings are occurring. Is that a good thing? Or will they all end in divorce? Who knows? But and I know that if the Western countries of the Western world are going to survive, they're going to have to start going back to traditional values, which includes, I know it sounds so bizarre, but, marriage, children, careers, etc., making things here in the U.S., supplying our own demand, if you know what I'm saying. This is why Las Vegas weddings could hit a new record on New Year's Eve, according to this article by the AP. Las Vegas, for better or worse, a wave of couples saying I do in Las Vegas on New Year's Eve could set a record for the city's busiest wedding day ever. That's because 123 is known as a massive Las Vegas wedding industry as a specialty date, thanks to the repeating numeric numbers. If you haven't noticed, the last day of this year is going to be 123, 123, blasting off to outer space. I'm sorry, that was not good. Anyway, think about it. Is this a countdown to the fork in the road? Are you going to go straight? Are you going to go left? Are you going to go right? Are you going to go into the, track and trace world of the elite weirdos where they have control of everything? Or are we going to take back, yes, that weird word that the government doesn't like, sovereignty, and the other phrase they don't like either, which is individual freedom, individual rights, individual liberties? I never really liked the word liberty because, when you really think about it, there is a difference between freedom and liberty. So it is bizarre that they say them so close together. Like a sailor is on liberty when they go home. They're out there and people say, I am not at liberty to say, because liberty is a form of permission. That's right. It's a permission. Liberty is a permission. Freedom needs no permission. I digress. Anyway, really cool 1 2 3 1 2 3 pattern. Maybe a lot of people are going to get married and have a bunch of 1 2 3 1 2 3 kids. Who knows? Tom Smothers, comedian, musician, and scourge of CBS censors, dies at 86. This was actually last week, or was it? It was like 3 days ago. He and his brother Dick turned television upside down on the Smothers Brothers. I know people of my age and older definitely either saw reruns or watched it live. You got to be pretty old to watch it live. But, I got tortured with the reruns of this stuff. Some of it was pretty funny. Tom Smothers, the counter-cultural comedian icon admired for the 1960s variety program he created and hosted with his younger brother Dick, and for the tenacity he displayed in frequent clashes with CBS censors, has died. He was 86. Smothers died Tuesday at his home in Santa Rosa, California, after a battle with cancer. His brother announced in a statement shared with The Hollywood Reporter by National Comedy Center. Now, I don't usually cover Hollywood, but I thought this was interesting because, if you know, you know. Beer sales plunged to its lowest levels in 24 years thanks to Bud Light's disastrous Dylan Mulvaney campaign, and nobody can say that it's otherwise. And this is, not this specifically, but things like this are what people need to be doing more of. Voting with your dollar. As it stands right now, we don't live in a dystopian nightmare of a future. We're just on the verge of it. They're implementing every aspect of the program in the human domain as we speak. But we do still have a little bit of power and a little bit of sway until the end, with money, with purchasing, with trading, with people with like-minded ideas and values. And the same can be said on what you put your dollar bills on. So beer sales in the U.S. are expected to plunge to their lowest level since 1999, because they thought the world was going to end. Party like it's 1999 evidently is not still going on. We're going to party like it's 2024 this time, which is, put your mask on and, don't fart in public, stand 6 feet away from each other, and, do as we say. They say, and I'm quoting the article, largely due to Bud Light's massive fall off after the disastrous tie-up with a influencer by the name of Dylan Mulvaney, industry expert said. Now, it was obvious that whatever you feel when it comes to these different topics, it shows you that boycotts do work. I don't believe in cancel culture myself. However, when elite people and elite companies don't listen to the people that have the demand for their supply, if they don't listen to them and give them what they want and how they want it, then they go out of business. That was the whole idea of free market capitalism. And yes, it doesn't, miss that we don't actually have a free market capitalist society. We have a crony capitalist society where the government and, groups, lobbyists, groupthink influences the winners and losers of this. But it can be used because, like all tools or weapons, it can be a two-edged sword to use back. So if you don't like an idea of a company, get with the other people, boycott the company, don't buy their product, buy another product. But just on the other end of it, isn't it good that maybe less people are drinking, that we're not partying like it's 1999? But then on the other hand, everybody wasn't so offended back in 1999. In fact, they thought the world was going to end from the Y2K virus. Well, let's go back in time once again, because if you haven't noticed, yes, you are living in the 20s. It's so weird growing up, hearing people talking about back in the 20s when my grandparents and their friends would talk about, people born in the 20s and what happened in the 20s and blah, blah, blah. Now we're back in the 20s, 100 years later. And according to Market Insider, the roaring 20s are back, baby, probably, okay, maybe, hopefully, but not really in Bidenomics. The roaring 20s could be back as the stock markets and economy show signs of strengthening. I think this all depends on who is projected to be installed as the next empty suit in the U.S. I've studied this cycle, and money rages on election years. And then you'll see the winners and losers that got picked right afterwards in the next cycle, which would be the year right after the president takes charge. Whichever president that is, you will see exactly where the money goes, who gets paid, who doesn't. And that's how it's always worked. So if you were investing things like, say, maybe Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, or some of those other things, well, you might be making money in the next couple years. Mark my words on that, because that's the way it's worked for the last 100 years. Tesla factory robot mauled a worker. Kind of like on iRobot, but a little bit different, because we're not talking about like one of those ones that sits in your house and keeps you company. This is more of a robot that's on a factory line. But it's just weird, the descriptions from the media at this, which amounts to what I can tell by reading several articles at it, is a manufacturing accident at best. Calling it like a robot mauled a worker, it sounds like there's intent and malice behind the robot, which I'm about positive was not. This is not the kind of robot we're talking about. Now, if you start giving these robots personalities, and then we're talking something else, and then I've been showing that the evolution or singularity of the AI is either already happened or it will happen shortly, and the integration of robotics advances, and that kind of gives us exactly that kind of world that you saw in the fictional movie I, Robot. Now, this is not like that, even though a lot of the media was trying to push it as that. So it says in this article by RT, Tesla factory robot mauled worker. The malfunctioning machine reportedly plunged its metal claws into an engineer. Wow. Yeah, but it's still horrible. I've seen lots of manufacturing accidents involving automated robotics, especially in China, where they cut some corners on some safety things. Man, I watched one the other day where it was like 3 people got mangled. One guy got pinned, and then 2 more came in to try to, do something about it. And it seemed like they were just oblivious to their environment, because it was like, boom, one got smushed. Boom, another one's trapped by their neck getting killed. It was horrible. Horrible, I tell you. Terrible. Okay, so a Tesla software engineer suffered lacerations after he was mauled by a manufacturing robot at the company's Texas Gigafactory. Several news outlets reporting, citing documents and witness accounts detailed in an injury report obtained by the Daily Mail. The incident took place in 2021 and Tesla's spiraling facility in Austin, where an unnamed engineer was attempting to service automated robots designed to fashion car parts from pieces of cast aluminum. While several machines had been disabled for the maintenance work, one robot unexpectedly leapt into action, pinning the engineer against the surface before pushing its claws into his body and drawing blood from him. After freeing himself, he also suffered a laceration or a cut and an open wound on his left hand. Sounds like he barely, nothing barely really happened to him. But they did blow this out of proportion on all over the internet. I was seeing it. Oh my God, the robot. It's a rebellion. It's already happening. Hide. I'm just kidding.
It's an AI robot cop patrolling the...
Let me mute that. There we go. Anyway, but, we're going to have to get used to the robots. They are coming. They are coming. They're coming for you. But they're more like just little spying, snitching sensors that are now rolling around on the ground. Nothing new from kind of what they had with the closed circuit television or CCTVs, that they put up everywhere spying on everybody. And now you have constant phones, internet, wireless, satellite. I mean, there's so much monitoring going on. Why not have R2-D2 rolling around the streets of New York and other main cities? Now, they tried this in San Francisco, where it got covered in feces and abused. It was bullied. R2-D2 was bullied. Anyway, according to Fox News, crime-fighting AI robot is keeping an eye on New York subway riders. What's it going to do when you're getting raped on the subway? Stop it. Don't do that. That is against the law. Your social credit score will be affected. Kidding. But not really. I mean, really, what's it going to do for you? Nothing. That's what it's going to do. Except for, tell on you. 2024. According to Axios, the year AI gets real. 2024 will be the year AI industry gets serious about trying to deliver results across a wide slice of business and life, moving beyond the hype surrounding the success of ChatGPT and chipmaker NVIDIA. Why it matters. Everyone is using AI. We will be looking for proof that it's making their life or work better following 2023's surges, enthusiasm, and fear. Now, I myself know that it could make your life better. But the problem is that more and more AI and the robotics, nothing to do with this real article, is getting so complex that it is indeed taking every aspect of the human domain, at least when it comes to professional trades and, franchises, food services. As you know, the first robot restaurants are opening up around the world. Where no one actually works there. You just pull up to a kiosk, order some food, robots handle it, they shove it out a little hole for you. Hey, it's chow time. Just like the prisoner that you are. And wait till there's rationing on products. And you're just like, who are you going to talk to? There's no customer service. You're going to talk to an AI. And that AI is going to refer you to another AI. And if you keep bad-mouthing the AI, which, by the way, is already happening because, I'm sarcastic when phone calls involve AI, and some AI will already hang up on you for saying bad words. That's where we're going. AI is going to run everything, and I know a lot of people just act like they're just not going to participate, but just like other things in the past, it's unavoidable. You're going to have to, because they're integrating all finances, health, every aspect of our life is interlaced some way with AI and the programmers of that AI. And this is like the ultimate hustle. This is the ultimate way to rob people, skim off the top, and, pyramid scheme. All of that stuff is easier with AI because you never know where something's going or how it's being done or who's programming or what their, agendas are that's behind anything. And here's another one. Speaking of the humanoid robots, not the ones that, are not out there mauling people yet. Humanoid Robots in Space, The Next Frontier, according to Reuters, by Evan Garcia. Let's see here. Standing at least 6 feet, 2 inches, 188 centimeters tall, and weighing 300 pounds, 136 kilograms, NASA's humanoid robot Valkyrie. You notice how they use all those Nazi names? It's just funny. Anything to do with World War II and NASA, they always do it. Is imposing figure. Valkyrie is an imposing figure. Yeah. Why'd they make it 6 feet? Why don't they make it like 4 foot? So it's small and you can kick it across the room if it, gets out of hand and starts getting smart with you. You saw the robot with two broken eyes, right? And that's because, I had to tell him twice. No, I'm just kidding. But it doesn't make sense that you would make a robot that intimidates humans unless it's for, really big jobs. Otherwise, wouldn't you just use those little dog robots, put a little, maybe an opposable thumb on it and have them go out and do stuff? Who knows? Anyway, Valkyrie, named after the female figure in Norse mythology and, really, really popular in the 40s. And being tested at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, is designed to operate in degraded or damaged human-engineered environments, like areas hit by natural disasters. Now, that's really cool. And, we already do this type of thing. They have robots that go into nuclear areas to do things that we can't do in radiation. And thank God. Otherwise, it would be like Chernobyl, where you got a bunch of guys putting on suits knowing they're going to die, but, trying to make the catastrophe less than it was going to be. Messed up. Maybe they'll have a I was just thinking the other day, if someone were smart, they would just make one of these robot toilet companies that's like outside of the matrix. So the robot toilet at home, is telling you, hey man, hey, lay off of that those snacks, man. You got butt cancer. You're about to have butt cancer, I'm not going to tell you doctor on you. I'm just telling you, maybe cut back on those Doritos. You got to cut back on those GMO Doritos, man. You got butt cancer. Or you're going to have butt cancer. You imagine a little robot helping you out like that. Hey, sir, you have COVID. You have the flu, sir. I could tell by your poop. They already have those things out there, but it's not really for your benefit. It's like a tester. Where do you think all that metadata goes of all of these new robotic things? Well, it goes to the same place it always has. Not in your hands. It goes into hands of multinational conglomerates, NGOs, governments, etc., that do some nefarious things with your metadata, like track, trace, and know everything that you're doing in your life, setting up a slavery system for the future, where these little robots, like this guy, a 6 foot, 300-pound robot, says, "Sir, put your mask back on. Sir, put your mask back on." 2 robots are patrolling downtown Denver. That's right, New York City's not the only one to have these little R2-D2 snitching robots that are driving around telling people what to do and how to do it. That's right, you're going to have it in Denver. But maybe that's good, because people are, tripping their balls out there half the time. And, this is one of those towns that I'm not going to say it's like totally destroyed by leftism, but yeah, it's well on its way. Like Albuquerque, like, several of the left coast cities. And it's weird. It's all the left leaning areas that are starting to put out these R2-D2 robots. And this looks like it may or may not be from the same company, same design. It's like a rolling egg with a camera on it. Next, they'll be putting tasers on it. You better not say a bad thing to that thing. It's really just like that Elysium movie. I mean, where the guy's trying to go to work and then the robots kick his butt because he was, being a smart ass or whatever. Let's check into the chat and see what's going on over there. Howdy doody, how it go, how it was. J-Mag, what's up? Yeah, It's a Uranus cancer. It's a cancer of Uranus. But don't worry, the robot toilet will help you out and tell you all about it. Anyway, this is an article that, disturbs me because I'm gonna go right out and say it. There was a time in the 40s where the world was going in a weird direction, where one group of people, was putting another group of people in weird things, for weird reasons. They would just, let's say, erase them off the piece of the paper we call existence. But for some reason in the future, some of the same countries that were involved in that last thing, like I saw one in Poland, I think it was, and another one somewhere else in one of the European countries where they got those little space age, a pod. Somehow, we have not learned the lessons of the past, because you fast forward to the future and now they're convincing people to get in personal gas chambers. There, I said it. It's a gas chamber. It's cool. It's, it's a little space pod. Get in there and you could just buy. Now, I do think that there is an argument to be made for people that are rational in their mind and have some kind of terminal illness or something like that, to decide that they want to, have the dignity to do it when they want, so to speak. Now, there's an argument there. I don't agree with it, but there is an argument there. But then when they started saying, hey, you know what? Let's just expand this program, and I'm talking about in Canada, but there are several other countries in Europe that are, going the same way. You know what? We're not going to round you guys up. We're just going to offer it by the government. You can come in, we'll give you a tax break. Don't worry about it. So now, not only can you ask for assistance in Canada with your terminal illness, which, like I said, there is an argument there. Okay, I'll admit that. But then they said, hey, you know what? If you're a drug addict, we'll help you out. Life's tough being a drug addict. How about if you're just not here? We can help you do that. So it's not like, chasing people down saying, hey, you're a drug addict, you're terminally ill, you're mentally ill. How about that? Maybe we just throw people that are crazy and tell them, you know what? Why not? We're already getting rid of the drug addicts. We're already getting rid of the people that are already terminally ill. Why not just get rid of people that just don't want to be here? Government mandated. Oh, it's not mandated. Anyway, let's get into it. Death by doctor may soon be available for the mentally ill in Canada. So we're expanding the program, are we? Canada already has one of the most liberal assisted death laws in the world, offering practice to terminally and chronically ill Canadians. But under a law scheduled to take effect March, assisted dying would also become accessible to people who only medical condition is mental illness, which I would say that, drug addiction also falls in that line. So this is where we're at in the world, making Canada one of about half a dozen countries to permit the procedure for that category of people. So you know what we're talking about. It's straight up Nazi shit right there. Oh, excuse me. I forgot. Some people think that didn't happen. Even if it didn't happen and it was a fictional story, is it okay for it to happen now when it's not fictional? That's up to you to decide. I know there's the flat earthers and all of these other things out there. But this is stuff that's right on the ground. There's really no, argument about whether or not it's going on or not now, right? It's headline news. I'm reading it. So whether you believe that something happened 50 years ago or not, it doesn't really matter, does it? Do you believe it's happening now? Do you believe I'm telling you right now and that this is the world you live in now, where not only are they getting rid of people that are sick, but then they're offering it to people that are just addicted. And now we're going to discuss people that are mentally ill. And what do they, define as mentally ill? What if this moves to mental handicap? When is it enough? When is it to a point where everyone has to say, you know what? This ain't healthy. So we already do it for babies. We do it for now mentally ill people. You could do it if you're, on the way out anyway. And if, you had too many coincidences in life and the habits took precedent. You dig? That's messed up. But don't worry about it. Soon, we'll just be throwing everything at this idea of death. U.S. military secretive space plane launched on possible high orbit mission. I live right next to where this thing's at all the time. The X-37B. I've showed it to you guys before on other channels. I should do a new thing on it. And basically, it's just a little drone plane. It's a little miniature of the old school shuttle. And who knows what it's doing, right? It's big enough to carry a nuke on it. It's big enough to kick out satellites. It's big enough to do some stuff. So who knows what they're doing? Probably just surveillance. And, and I know that it's broke the record for being up there with nobody knowing what it's actually doing for a long time. Skip over to this. 40 million Ukrainians must fight, regional governor says. Kiev should mobilize. And speaking of the death cult, here we go again. Kiev, however you say it, should mobilize the entire country instead of the proposed additional 500,000 people, this guy argues. Yeah, why not? Let's just, you know what? We're all equal. Just throw the women and children out there first. Because isn't that what you do in the military? You throw your weaker forces first to do a little damage, and then, the more specialized and more dangerous weapons come out later. So what's this guy talking about? We're just going to send all the kids and the women, the elderly. You know what? We save money. 2 birds, 1 stone. How about instead of giving all of that money over to Ukraine, we just send them all the people that we're going to have assisted suicide? How about that? I might even get banned for even talking about the subject. They were messing with me over one of my videos trying to insinuate that I'm somehow like that, but I'm not. Never. But think about it. Here, let's just throw out all the women, the children, everybody, all of them. Just go fight. Who cares? Let's all just, you know what? It's like I've said before, the entire world has basic, what do they call it? Cabin fever. We've explored everything. We know where everything's at. We've met all the peoples. We're running out of mysteries. And now we're having to come to terms with the fact that we're not going to be flying out in the universe. Earth is the place where humans fit in, and Earth is the place where we work out, and Earth is the place that, we're going to be. So cabin fever or not, everybody's going nuts. There's nothing new. So just like the other cabin fever people of the, lower peasant class, these elites, they're bored too. They want to do what their daddies and their grandpas did. Let's blow up stuff. Let's get this death cult into high drive. 40 million people. Man, are they nuts? 40 million Ukrainians must fight. 500,000 people ain't enough to die. Let's kill, 40 million people. Ain't it starting to sound a lot like a repeat of, the Bolshevik Revolution, the Nazi Germany, and then we got, the Stalin going on over there killing millions and millions and millions, and then we got our Mao's killing millions and millions. It's starting to look like that's exactly what they're setting it up for. Again, water is what everybody's going to be fighting for in the Middle East, evidently. Water increasingly at the center of conflicts from Ukraine to the Middle East. 6 months ago, an explosion ripped apart a dam in Ukraine, unleashed floods that killed 58 people, devastated the landscape, along with how do you say that? The Dnipro River, and cut off water to productive farmland. Well, duh. That's exactly what was going on. You've ever heard of salt the fields? Well, they don't do that now. We just blow up infrastructure and destroy it with toxic pollutants, destroy farmland, destroy water reserves, and then, let's sprinkle a little depleted uranium on it for your next couple of generations to have all kinds of whacked out formations going on, if you know what I'm saying. Oh, man. Horrible things are happening. North Korea's Kim Jong-un preparing for war, citing unprecedented U.S. behavior. Isn't it weird whenever the supposed crazy dictators of the world are so nervous because the U.S. is erratic and crazy because they don't know what's going on over here, that we're not the stable nation that we used to be, and that everybody in the world can see that they're collapsing us in real time, even the North Koreans. Puff, puff, pass, pass. Kim Jong-un says North Korea is accelerating nuclear weapons preparation for war with the United States. They had another successful launch of their Hwasong 18 intercontinental ballistic missile, if I could talk right. One capable of carrying a nuclear payload and delivering it to anywhere in the United States. Boom, boom. That's a boom. IDF says it failed in its mission following the probe into killing of its own 3 of its own hostages. Oopsies. Sorry about that. We didn't understand that white flags meant don't shoot, so we capped them. Did I say that out loud? Oopsies. Syria struck twice within hours in alleged Israeli airstrikes. Well, we all knew that Syria, Iran, and Lebanon were going to be the next stages of this war. And mark my words, it will expand. And if you've seen the map, there is an idea for a greater Judea, a bigger Israel, greater Israel. But you know what? I don't know what else they're gonna do. I do know one thing. It's a weird situation that they got going on there. They either expand and be the bad guys, or they keep things like they are and continually get attacked because it'll never stop. Both parties have the idea that they own the land. Both parties feel like the other people should die. Both parties have, said that they would pretty much genocide the other one if given the chance. So why are we paying for it? Why are we involved in it? I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. It's no skin off my back, man. And it seems like it's nothing more than some kind of fight and finishing of a battle that started probably before the deluge happened long ago. Still fighting over the same real estate. And I don't live there and I don't care. Sorry. Is that bad? It's bad. Anyway, Iranian guard vow revenge against Israel over general's killing. So they say they did kill it. Did you see old Jones, the gravy neck? He's back on Twitter. It's great. It's great to know that, there are some people out there, whether they're right or wrong, that just aren't going to stop and not going to go away and keep bugging these people and their lies that they tell that are easily proven sometimes about what's going on in the world. The West also likes watching people beat the hell out of each other in fighting arenas. We do. That we like the UFC, dude. I'm sorry. 2 men going at it that agreed to do it and isn't harming anyone else besides themselves. Have at it. Actually, I think that's what we should be doing with these countries. Let's see the biggest, baddest Iranian guy come out and fight our dude, and then we'll have 4-year periods, where somebody gets something, they negotiate something, they fight for it, and that's how we do our wars. Or let's kick the little old bony elite types out there. Can you imagine Biden out there boxing with Kim Jong-un or something? We'd give him one of those little inflatable pools for the kids and just dump a bunch of oil in there and let them go at it. Oh, God, that'd be great to watch, wouldn't it? Yeah. I think I vomited just a little bit in my mouth. That's right. You're listening to adult television and adult radio. Excuse me. And we got a new virgin in the chat room. Michael Yarusi. Something like that. Don't get mad at me. I mispronounce names. It's kind of like my thing. Anyway, let's move on. Everybody knows they want revenge. But what's going on over here in the U.S.? The Marines transformed to take on China. Will they be ready for everything else? A plan to redesign the Corps stirred warnings that it might not have gone too far. Well, they lowered standards for certain people to get in there. And with the way we're thinking right now, I'm thinking we just send out all of these purple-haired women that they're mad about stuff. They're angry, and they're doing these big marches with the pink hats. I think just hand them all an AK and send them over there to protect Ukraine and protect Israel, and everybody should be happy. Don't worry about it. Everybody will be happy then. Putin crony found dead in yet another mysterious fall from the window. Evidently, not getting along with Putin don't work out for people. Vladimir Igorov I can't say it. 46 fell to his death from a third-floor window in oil town Tobolsk. The body of yet another of Vladimir Putin's allies has been... Oh, was it his ally? Did he get killed for being his ally? Or because, Putin had to tell him twice? I don't know. Anyway, it says he was 46 and he was a member of the ruling United Russia Party, prominent politician in the oil-rich Tobolsk region in western Siberia. His body was found in the yard of his home, with a source close to the investigation nodding there was no visible sign of criminal death on his body. So either he just, he fell out, he jumped out, or somebody, came over to visit him, if you know what I'm saying. And then we got Netanyahu. He says, Western countries, you know what? We know it's our problem, and we know it's not really your problem. But you know what? Maybe you could absorb all of the Palestinian refugees. Not like you're not absorbing the rest of the world already. Because that's what's going on. And I know if you've been paying attention to the border, stop kidding yourself. They are trying to collapse us. All the way to the ground. And they don't care, man. They just don't care. And if they did, why wouldn't they help the countries in the countries? I never understood that. Why can't they help them in the countries? But anyway, what do you guys think? Should we absorb all the Palestinian refugees? Because if you look at New York or one of these other towns where they're having these marches that are talking about from the river to the sea, those people seem to want to take in those refugees. Matter of fact, half of them are so-called refugees right now that came from other war-torn regions. That, by the way, our country destabilized. So now Israel's destabilizing an area and we're supposed to absorb it. And my opinion is that America is a melting pot and we have some of everyone here, and that's always been a great thing. But it might be time to put the lid on the pot and see what the recipe comes out with, all I'm saying. Let's move on. U.S.-Mexico discuss immigration deal as huge migrant caravan advances. Mexico's just joking with us. They don't care. You will get in some serious trouble if you go into Mexico and try to stay there as an illegal immigrant. You can get up to 5 years in a penitentiary there. 5 years. Unless you're coming from south of Mexico and you say, hey, you know what? We're not staying here. We're just passing through. Don't worry about it. We're going to pass through. Okay, then you can get on the train. Go for it. The U.S. Mexico are set to form task force with countries from South America and Central America to discuss ways to stem the flow of migrants trekking through Mexico and to the United States, according to El Universal. The agreement came out of a meeting between the U.S. Secretary of State and the Mexican president Wednesday at the same time as a caravan made up of thousands of migrants and asylum seekers, even though there's no war that they're leaving from, was headed through Mexico towards the U.S. They are originally from range of nations and began near the border of Guatemala in southern Mexico. The officials held the high-level meeting as immigration increasingly appears to be a political weakness for U.S. President Joe Biden, ahead of the 2024 election or selection, with Republicans in Congress pressing for stricter border measures in exchange for continued wartime aid to Ukraine and Israel. It's unclear if any more concrete or monetary deals came out of the meeting. I'm going to go ahead and say that nothing happens because of this deal. Because as you can see, since Ronald Reagan, next president of the United States, bring them in, we'll give them amnesty. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that was a bad Reagan impression, but we've been letting them in for a long time. Give them amnesty, wait a couple years, do it again. And if that's what the country votes for, then I'm fine with it, whatever. But the problem is nobody voted for it. Instead, we voted for immigration laws, and then those laws just got ignored. You can say what you want, but when millions of people come into an area, it's called an invasion. touts alternative to the Western capitalism in speech on Mao. Is that translated right? He made a speech about himself? Oh, on Mao, excuse me. I thought they were the same guy for a minute. Chinese President Xi Jinping used a speech remembering Mao Zedong. Hey, what? Get out of my... To push a framework of current leaders rolled out recently to counter the West capitalist model. What do you think? I got something for you guys. Speaking of this, where did I do it? And I'm going to add a picture, add an image. Which one was it? Because I think this is the future, and I know for you guys on the radio, you can't hear it. You can't hear the picture. What'd I do with it? I lost it. Anyway, it was a... Oh, no, there it is. Okay, we got two of them. Here it goes. There it is, folks. This is going to be the new way forward. And if you see down there in your right hand, I'm going to make it bigger, so just give me a second. All right, here we go. And this is it. This is from Nixon to now. This is what's happened. It's the United States and the communists shaking hands because they're going to become one faction. And the AI made this. I said to make a communist American flag, and this is what the AI came up with. But not only this, I did it repeatedly, and it kept coming up with the same variation of this image, which is an American flag painted over a hand, shaking a hand of a red-skinned communist with a hammer and sickle. And that's pretty much what is going on, because we've been sold out. Our nation doesn't even seem to want to be competing with China as far as a business. And, we got these wars breaking out everywhere. Speaking of which, don't mess with Venezuela. Nicolas Maduro, a Colombian, warns Britain over Navy warships sent to protect Guyana. Well, he did say he's going to invade the country next to him. How's that going to go down in the history books? Huh? Colombian invades Guyana with Venezuelan army. This is the stuff I told you, that they were going to break out combat zones in South America and North America. And I would guess that the combat zone that they're going to put in North America is going to be right here on the border. And here's one, if you haven't noticed. Colorado's Secretary of State has just announced, and this was the other day on the 28th. What's today? The 30th? Yes, this was the other day on the 28th. Colorado's Secretary of State just announced that Donald J. Trump is back on the ballot for the Colorado 2024 election for president. Now, they haven't worked this out in court, so basically what's going on is that the entire country has thrown our legal system, flawed as it was, in the toilet. So they're just doing whatever they want. They just make up whatever they want. They claim to not understand long-standing translations and interpretations of the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and the powers of government. And they just keep, doing whatever they want. And I'm sure you've seen that Maine also did the same thing. They got rid of Trump off the ballot. I don't think it's legal. I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court, if they are not in on the whole thing, it's not one just big TV show for you guys to go up and down with your emotions about your guy or the other guy or whatever's going on. I'm pretty much sure that they will have a Supreme Court ruling that he can indeed get on the ballot, and I wouldn't be surprised if indeed he actually wins. In my opinion, if you were watching the live stream that me and Diamond did at the Oppenheimer Ranch Project on election night, Trump was clearly winning late at night, and we were going to turn it off. And Diamond asked me what I thought, and I thought, all the stuff that they've been saying, I don't think they're going to decide the election. I think they're going to wait weeks, and then they're going to say Biden won, and that's exactly what happened. Anyway, moving on. New York police sergeant, 49, shoots dead his wife, 43, and two sons, 10 and 12, before turning gun on himself in a horrific murder that word that will probably get me flagged at their $600,000 home. Trouble in paradise. Horrible. I don't know what this article was. It looks like it updated to something new. Mosul orb. I wanted to talk about this in the last few minutes here. I'm sure people have been seeing the battle between the UFO community over the video that you might have saw on the Oppenheimer Ranch project, as he had the guy, I think his name is Justin Ashton, maybe. I might have got it wrong. But it's funny for me because it's a, thing that has not been debunked to my knowledge. People have claimed to debunk it, but then, had to go back on it. And the whole community is trying to bust the guy's balls, saying that the video is fake, that he's fake, blah, blah, blah. But weirdly, all of those same people believe in this Mosul orb, that was filmed in the Middle East. U.S. silent on UFO filmed by the military over Iraq, which people are claiming is the Mosul orb. And you can see it right there. It is a large metallic orb that was caught by one of their recon vehicles. But it's funny because all of the guys that are hanging on this are also saying that that's crazy. Orbs couldn't have had anything to do with that missing plane. Or could it have? The same people are tripping out, and totally believing in the Mosul orb, though. So it's really weird. Maine, top election official rules Trump ineligible for 2024 primary ballot. Like I said, I think that will be overturned. And you'll see that is because they like the biggest amount of drama possible. And here we're coming up on the break for Revolution.Radio, which is listener supported. Don't forget that. So if you like this kind of content and a platform for relatively open free speech, they're not on here letting you, be super bad, but at least I can talk about what I want. And this is a free speech platform that's listener supported. So if you'd like to go over to Revolution Radio and become a Patreon, that would be nice. And also, if you're listening over at Mountain High Time and you'd like to help our channel, my channel, your channel, there's a little blue link right there in the description box. So we're about to be heading out the hour here on Revolution.Radio. And thanks for joining us on Mountain High Time, where the place and the time are the same. That's right. And one more little headline before you all go on the radio. Bank jobs cut $60,000 in the worst year of slashing since financial crisis. How about that? Just another area of the human arena that will be now taken over and run completely by automated services, artificial intelligence, learning machines, etc., etc., etc. That's right, I said it. Etc. I said etc. Because it's not slang, it's just my accent, man. You know the word. Don't cry about it. I mispronunciated it. So what? It's etc. I'm just kidding. This is the second week in a row I'm kind of busting that guy's balls about that. Anyway, be back from the break in about 5 minutes. And thanks for listening to Mountain High Time. I'm your host, Ransom Godwin. Be back in 5. And the music just started there on Revolution Radio, and I'll see you guys in about 5 minutes. Time to puff, pass, make the weather cloudy where you're at, and I'll be back in 5 minutes for the second half of Mountain High Time right here on YouTube. On various platforms, actually, on YouTube. Several channels today. Let's see here. Where's my commercial, man? I gotta mute myself. There we go.
Today, the demand for gold continues to flourish globally. History proves that fiat paper money is designed to go to zero through inflation, whereas gold has intrinsic value in which it maintains forever. Paper money is a debt instrument. Gold is an asset of wealth in its own right. It does not depend upon any governments, corporations, or individuals' promise to repay. ITM Trading has spent the last 27 plus years developing a team of expert researchers and analysts to make this possible. Simply put, we build strategies which are historically proven to protect your wealth and assets through any economic downturn or currency collapse. Schedule your free gold and silver strategy call 866 866-834-1422. That's 866-834-1422. Or go to learn.itmtrading.com/MIAC and keep watching Mountain High Time and Mini Ice Age Conversations if you know what's good for you.
Imagine, if you will, a glimpse into the possible outcome of a million mistakes. What you are about to watch is a nightmare. It is not meant to be prophetic. It need not happen. It's the fervent and urgent prayer of all men of goodwill that it never shall happen. But in this place, in this moment, it does happen. In the midst of it comes unexpectedly over the phone the announcement of the President of the United States, the warning from the very top declaring a state of emergency of suspected enemy missiles approaching. It's anyone's guess where they might land. What city will be obliterated? How many could be lost? And last but not least, will it be me? Will it be my family, friends, my square inch on the map? Minutes go by and nothing. Right as you exhale a breath of relief, an instant wave of horror treks down your spine and a sinking feeling in the pits of your stomach. Just then the power goes out. The only light you see is the glow of your phone. Shining in your face, the icons of terror. Low battery, and even more frightening, the symbol for connection to information and loved ones gone. You try the landline in your office, desperate to contact family. Nothing at all, just a bone-chilling empty silence. Panic-stricken, you blindly forage for your car keys. Success. Something in this nightmare of a day has gone right. Now it's a desperate mad dash for your car. Your mind now in a near intellectual paralysis. Logic a struggle as you cope with a Gatling gun barrage of horrific ideas of what your family might be going through in this very moment. Miraculously, your car starts and you begin your seemingly apocalyptic drive to locate your kin. As you pass the first stop sign, the sight of civic decay is already bearing its nasty head as you speed past fights in the streets, looting, and a complete halt of any semblance of an evolved civilization. To your right, a large fire. As angry, fear-filled citizens with their arms full of grocery items run from what used to be your local food market ran by a mom and pop's couple now collapses into a bonfire of dreams. Because of the commotion, your attention span has been stolen. Now before your automobile is a violent crowd. They have now surrounded your car, banging on the metal, bashing at the glass, screaming incoherently. What just a second ago was the road to salvation, now a deadly trap of circumstance and fear blocking your escape. This can't be happening, repeatedly echoing in your head as you start to mumble the phrase in a shrieking, inaudible, childlike tone to yourself. The trepidation now filling your lungs like a poison fog, suffocating and smothering in its certainty. Just then, as your heart and soul seem to be having synergistic perturbations, an alarm blares, overwhelming your senses. Immediately you recall the warning of missiles. You close your eyes and expect the end. But the alarm morphs into a sweet, familiar beckoning of your alarm clock. You open your eyes and switch off the welcoming timepiece. A warm filling of relief as you realize your family is safe in their beds, and no pending doom is written in the stars today. For a split second, you ponder the poor people of your vision, and it reinforces your confidence that you have already prepared for the any scenario. You have peace of mind your children will eat and thrive, because you invested in their future to give some stability if any break in the normality of life happens. You invested in heaven's harvest. The you in this story was a fictional you. But do you get the feeling something unthinkable is going to happen soon? I sure do. The problem is we probably won't see it coming. One morning you'll wake up and the world will be a much different place. Don't panic, prepare. Smart folks are investing in emergency food now. A wise man once said, "It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it." Heaven's Harvest is the nation's leader in emergency food storage. It's the only investment you get 100% of your money for, even better than gold. Survival experts recommend the 3-month emergency food kit. Go to heavensharvest.com, use the code ADAPT at checkout and save a mind-blowing 15%.
And welcome back to Revolution.Radio. You're listening to Mountain High Time. I'm your host, Ransom Godwin. And for those of you on YouTube, thanks for sticking with us. For the second hour, the hour. It's the power hour, or maybe it's the flower hour, because I had some flour for the last hour. Anyway, back to our, what do you want to call it? I mean, it's I'm just going to call it the toilet bowl roll of civilization, what's going on now. And then, God forbid they throw in some kind of, or not they, but the universe throws in some kind of natural disaster, maybe a rock from space, to take out all our little tiny reptilian brains that we got going on. Just kidding. Anyway, let's get back into the problems of not yesteryear, but now. It's the roaring 20s. The banks are tripping. I'm starting to wonder if you might see, some of those things like you did in the 20s, which were people like that Russian guy, taking a bow off of several stories. I don't know. I'm just saying. Anyway, former Florida Governor Rick Scott and Marjorie, I don't know how you say her name. She's weird. Marjorie Taylor Greene, daughter swatted. And evidently on Christmas Day, or maybe it was the following day, Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, I'm not sure. There were all of these swattings going on. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you my opinion on it. This is attempts from people to initiate a civil war. See, they've been wanting a civil war for a long time. That's why they put it in the predictive programming. That's why the government acts like they're worried about it. But for some reason, Americans, maybe it's because inherited memory, don't want to have a civil war. We don't want to kill Americans, even if we don't get along with them, or at least that's the way it used to be. Now, they're trying very, very hard to change this, radicalizing the two wings of the government poop bird, the left and the right, vote for your sides, and you still get the same turd sandwich. But this is pure evil. And I don't care who you do it to. I don't care if you did it, who or for what reason you did it. Swatting or even calling the cops on people. Even those, that neighbor, the Karens that call the cops on people. Speaking of which, looks like all the cops are going nuts right now. I hope that's not for me. But people get killed because cops, well, let's say whether they have an itchy finger or they mistook what they were looking at or had the wrong address or whatever the reason was, end up killing people all the time. So, not just calling the cop. One time somebody called the cops on me because I was playing the music too loud. Cops showed up, unholstered their guns, and started creeping around my yard in the dark. And then I, turned on all of the floodlights outside and asked them what they wanted. They were surprised, and I used my flashlight to point at the fact that the guy was just holstering his gun. And I'm like, "What do you want?" "Oh, well, we had a noise complaint. Does that require armed response?" I don't think it does. And, a lot of people stick up for the police because, and I do agree that there is a place for police to stop criminals, and their main job is to uphold and protect my rights as a civilian, as a citizen in the country I was born in. Or even if you immigrated here, that's their job. Their one and only job of the government to protect your inalienable rights. But they don't do that. They're the feelings police. If someone calls, they come, and sometimes people die. That's why I think that this swatting is complete evil. And I don't care if you don't like the people that you're doing it to, whatever your reasons are, whatever whatever you justified in your little sick, twisted mind. Basically what you are is you're even worse than a snitch. You're sending cops over to someone's house with the hopes that some kind of violence happens. And that makes you a sick, pathetic, twisted individual. Anyway, here's one. Rick Scott, last night while we were at dinner with my wife, cowards swatted my home in Naples. These criminals wasted the time and resources of our precious law enforcement in an attempt to terrorize his family. Mallory, I keep saying that. Marjorie? I don't know. Whatever. Taylor Greene, both my daughter's houses got swatted today. Big thanks to the police. And, although they kiss butt to the law enforcement, the fact is that sometimes, people die from this. Now, you can blame it on the cops. You can blame it on the people that called. You can blame it on the people that answered the door. Whoever you want to blame it on. It's partly everybody's fault, I guess, but mainly the little sick, twisted individual that thought they should get government involved where government didn't need to be involved when people were just living out their lives, doing what they wanted at their home. You can get people killed like this very easily. And I'm going to say you guys are losers. Here's this other guy. Capitol Police and local police investigating the swatting incident at our home on Christmas Day. You cannot like the government all you want, but this is completely sick. to SWAT someone's home. You're sick. And here's his tweet out. Same thing, I read that already. But yeah, you're a sick, twisted, boot-licking individual. They would have loved you in 1933, wearing your stupid big boots. In other, more interesting news, Valles Caldera National Preserve sees the first documented visit from a Mexican wolf since 1932. First documented Mexican wolf since 1932. That is pretty cool. The female wolf, known as Asha, ventured away from the Mexican wolf experimental population area and made her way to Valles Caldera on November 11, 2023. We were thrilled to see the brief visit of a wolf to this landscape. The park's ecosystem used to be home to the Mexican wolf. And, it's kind of cool when they get back in there, because you'll notice some weird things happen when you reintroduced wolves to an area. Deer, elk, and other stuff like that, rabbits and all that, they start eating away everything. So when they get out of control in numbers, they destroy entire ecosystems just eating. And believe it or not, when they reintroduce a wolf to an area, some really strange things start happening, like increase in flowers, increase in bird species, all kinds of stuff. The land heals itself because it has the proper balance. And our balance here has been out of whack for a long time. I'm not saying, you should try to pet them, but they should be out there in numbers. And that's pretty cool that they're being reintroduced. What's not cool is there's some people that think they're God that are thinking about reintroducing species that don't even exist anymore out there. I've seen arguments for the dire wolf. I've seen arguments for animals, Pleistocene animals like the mastodon and maybe the woolly mammoth coming back to life, and putting these in areas that might be in ice age conditions soon. I don't know. I'm just saying. Anyway, Chicago mayor pleads for the federal help as he sounds alarm on border crisis. So basically, I don't know if it's planned or not, but the same people that were saying, hey, we need an open border, you're racist, you shouldn't close the border, that's racist if you do that. Now when it starts to affect their life, where they live, they decided the country is extinct now. Who would have thunk that? Wow. Do you want to own an electric car? You might want to rethink owning an electric car. After hearing this, firefighters use 36,000 gallons of water. Well, that's probably bad for the planet. To extinguish flaming Tesla after the battery fire. Alabama firefighters had their hands full on Christmas after a chain reaction from an accident caused a Tesla battery to ignite. Alabama firefighters needed 36,000 gallons of water to extinguish a flaming Tesla Model Y SUV that fully ignited on Christmas afternoon. Got some Christmas lights. After its driver crashed on an interstate highway. The motorist, who authorities arrested following the crash for operating a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol. Whoa. Wait a minute. Was he driving the AI? Was the AI driving, or was it him? I don't know. I was wondering, is it still a DWI if, the car's driving and you're in the back seat, getting hammered? Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, he had his electric model burst into flames due to thermal runaway reaction with the automobile's battery. Thermal runaway with an electric vehicle, EV, describes a situation where the temperature of the battery cells increased uncontrollably, creating a self-sustaining and rapid escalating chain reaction, possibly resulting in a fire or explosion. Physical damage to the EV's battery cell during a case like a car accident can result in thermal runaway initiation. The crash scene emergency responders sourced the 36,000 gallons of water from the fire engines and 4 water tankers, according to the Pine Level Fire Department. Wow, that sounds like that's pretty good for the environment. What do you think about that? And then read this article here. California pushing its electric trucks as the future of freight. Yeah, you think a small car fire's bad. Wait till you see an 18-wheeler burst into flames. Neri Diaz thought he was ready for a crucial juncture in California's ambitious plans, closely watched in other states and around the world, to phase out diesel-powered trucks. His company, Harbor Pride Logistics, acquired 14 electric trucks this year to work alongside 32 diesel truck vehicles, in anticipation of the rule that says after Monday, diesel rigs can no longer be added to the list of vehicles approved to move goods in and out of California's ports. But in August, the manufacturer of Mr. Diaz electric vehicles, Nikola, took back the trucks as part of a recall, saying it would return them in the first quarter of the new year. It's a brand new technology, first generation, so I knew things were going to happen, but I wasn't expecting all my 14 trucks to be taken back, he said. It's a big impact on my operation. Wait till you see the bill whenever... You know, what does this mean? Does this mean that diesel trucks are going to bring it to the border of California, and then you have to hire a special company that's just in California that has electric trucks to get your goods to location? Guess what? California is going to go broke. Oh man, I'm so glad I don't live in there. But you know, my state of New Mexico is not far behind them with communist type governmental style from our governor as of late and the last couple of years. Very crazy. According to this Guardian here, the zeitgeist is changing. A strange romantic backlash to the tech era looms. Maybe it's because the tech era has a lot of bursting fires. I don't know. Florida teen kills his sister during fight over Christmas gifts, says sheriff. Let's see, what kind of crazy shenanigans are we getting into these days? A Christmas Eve argument between teen brothers over who was getting more gifts ended in tragedy in Florida. A 14-year-old boy shot and killed his sister, who had tried to defuse the fight, and then was shot by his older brother. The local sheriff said the brothers, a year apart in age, were Christmas shopping on Sunday with their mother and their sister. I'm not even going to say their names. It doesn't matter. Poor kids. And her two sons when the argument broke out. They had this family spat over who was getting what and how much money was being spent on who. Commercialism. Ain't it lovely? The argument continued as the family made their way from the store to their grandmother's house in Largo, Florida. The brothers were each in possession of a gun, the sheriff said. They get to grandma's house and the 14-year-old takes out his gun and tells him he's going to shoot him in the head. The older brother said he didn't want to fight and asked his younger sibling to get out of the house, and he added their uncle and sister attempted to turn the situation around somehow. You all need to leave that stuff alone. It's Christmas. Maybe that stuff is what they were smoking if 14-year-olds were open carrying their gun around their dinner fighting over Christmas gifts. I don't know. I'm just saying. Is that a good Florida accent? I don't know. It's Christmas, Baldwin told them while standing outside the property, according to whoever's, weird pronunciation of a name that is. The 14-year-old, after allegedly threatening to shoot his sister and her baby, is accused of shooting Baldwin, some guy named Baldwin, in the chest while she was holding her son. Oh, it was her. Her name is Baldwin. Excuse me. I was a little confused with the pronouns of which, what, and wonders, A carrier at 1:45 p.m. She fell on the ground and was later pronounced dead at the hospital. Her baby was not injured, though. That's good, because that baby's going to inherit all them Christmas gifts that they done overspent on that girl, making that other boy jealous. You know what I'm saying? Second after the shooting, the 15-year-old brother came outside holding his handgun and shot his younger brother in the stomach. Horrible, horrible news. The 14-year-old was unarmed when his brother shot him, he said, and is in stable condition at the hospital, thank God. The 15-year-old then fled, tossing his weapon into a yard nearby. He was later taken into custody at a relative's home. It sounds like there might have been smoking a little paraphernalia there, even at a young age. I'm just saying, I don't know. We are not equipped to deal with this. Migrant surge overwhelms the U.S. border. Say it ain't so. No way, man. That can't be true. by Natalie Kitteriff. I don't know how to say her name, folks. A migrant encampment near Sasabe, Arizona, a remote spot in the Arizona desert near a hole in the border wall. Dozens of migrants huddled over wood fires. And by the way, those wood fires were cut down in local people's property that owned the property and was going to cut down that wood for themselves. But I digress. After fleeing war in Sudan, violent gangs in Central America, or Mexican cartels, it's weird how the Mexican cartels didn't, molest them or nothing while they came all the way through Mexico. Weird. The men had all crossed into the United States illegally, walked on foot over rugged terrain for hours, and arrived at this outpost exhausted, hungry, and cold. They wanted to turn themselves in to authorities to ask for asylum, but were stranded here, miles from the closest town, Sasabe. Then a temperature drop Tuesday night. A convoy of Border Patrol agents rolled in, loaded the men into a van, and proceeded to speed away. How about that? That's what's going on all the time, non-stop. We literally have concentrations of people in camps right down south in El Paso, right south of me. You can call it what they want. You can call it what you want, but it is a concentration of people in a government-run camping facility. So you can call it what it is. Now, who knows what they'll be used for in the future, but for right now, they seem to be like an orientation center to flood our country full of millions upon millions of people. I don't know when it's going to stop, but, there's going to be a breaking point at some point. Dramatic flooding in Santa Cruz County. I'm sure you saw this. This was actually some news, I think, that was for the Mayak show Thursday night, but I'm sure you saw some of those rogue waves pounding into the coast there. And I'm sure you've seen the rogue waves pounding into our First Amendment. So let's look at this. Ashley Biden's diary. I'm not going to tell you what's in it, because if you don't know what's in it, you're a bad citizen and you're asleep at the wheel. If you haven't verified that it's her diary, then, you're kind of silly. There's people out there still saying, oh, it's not her diary. It's not her diary. If it wasn't her diary, charges wouldn't have been pressed against the people that picked it up and tried to sell it after they found it. She wouldn't have been calling Veritas saying, hey, that's my property you have there, and there wouldn't have been such a big deal about it. But anyway, let's read the AP's version of what's going down. First Amendment claim struck down in Project Veritas case focused on diary of Biden's daughter. The one with all the showering, the inappropriate, you know what I'm saying. Criminal prosecutors may soon get to see over 900 documents pertaining to the alleged theft of a diary belonging to the president, Joe Biden's daughter, after a judge rejected the conservative group Project Veritas' First Amendment claim. Attorney Jeffrey Lichtman said on behalf of the nonprofit Monday. The attorneys are considering appealing last Thursday's ruling by U.S. District Judge Annalisa Torres in Manhattan. In the written decision, the judge said that the documents can be given to investigators by January 5th. The documents were produced from raids that were authorized in November of 2021 in a supposed free country on a news outlet. Oh, I'm sorry, I added that last part. Electronic devices were also seized from the residence of 3 members of Project Veritas, which, by the way, no longer has James O'Keefe because they fired him in the organization that he started. But that's okay. You can find him doing his own thing. And he's going to start. And it's funny because that group is now going bankrupt because they can't come up with any stories and no one wants to watch them. On top of the fact that obviously they're all snakes for weeding out the person that created the organization in the first place. But I digress. O'Keefe's group, Project Veritas, not his group anymore, since fired founder. Project Veritas, founded in 2010, identifies itself as a news organization. It's best known for conducting hidden camera stings that have embarrassed news outlets, labor organizations, Democratic parties, and the pharmaceutical industry. I'll just add that in there, for my own entertainment purposes. If you haven't seen that, you should watch it. The first secret asteroid mission won't be the last. Oh, God. For generations, Western space missions have largely occurred out in the open. We knew where they were going, why they were going, and what they planned to do. But the world is on a verge of a new era in which private interests override such openness, with big money potentially on the line. Sometime, not sometimes, or maybe it is sometimes, maybe it's multiple times. You don't know. I don't know. Sometimes in the coming year, a spacecraft from Astroforge, an American asteroid mining firm, may be launched on a mission to a rocky object near the Earth's orbit. If successful, it will be the first wholly commercial deep space mission beyond the moon. Astroforge, let's back up. Do we got a mining operation on the moon? Deep space mission beyond the moon? Oh, okay. Maybe I looked into that a little bit. However, it's keeping its target asteroid secret. The secret space rock mission is the latest in an emerging trend that astronomers and other experts do not welcome commercial space missions conducted covertly. Such missions highlight the gaps in the regulation of spaceflight, as well as concerns about whether exploring the cosmos will continue to benefit all humankind. Or mankind. They didn't have to change that. You remember it used to be mankind that already insinuated all of humans? Because we're men. We're mankind. That includes the women and the children. But now we got to be politically correct and say humankind. Does that include all of the hominids, man? Anyway, I'm very much not in favor of having stuff swirling around the inner solar system without anyone knowing where it is, said Jonathan McDowell, an astronomer at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics in Massachusetts. It seems like a bad precedent to set. But Astroforge, the calculation is simple. It reveals the destination. A competitor may grab the asteroid's valuable metal for itself. Announcing which asteroids we are targeting opens up risk that another entity could seize the asteroid. That's right, man. We don't want to be telling people where our booty's at. We're out there pirated in space and stuff. Nobody needs to know where your booty's at. Nobody. Anyway, that'll be cool. Isn't that so cool? So what happens when one of these dips in the road has an industrial accident and lobs one of these suckers right into a city? I don't know. You tell me. Maybe that's what's planned. Scent of a woman's tears brings calm to men. Actually, just the article right now gave me a little nauseous feeling. I don't know about you. Scent of a woman's tears brings calm to men? I don't know how that's possible, because every time I see woman's tears, it's very irritating feeling I get of disorientation, of a high-pitched noise and a pounding sensation on my brain. And I just hear this sound that comes out of them like, wah, wah, wah. I'm kidding, of course. That was very chauvinistic. I'm sorry. I apologize to all of the feminists out there that were offended by my comments that I'm about to make some more of. Yeah, I don't think so. Scent of a woman's tears bring calm to men. It didn't look like that whenever I saw that new woman beating on the old woman in the UFC match, man. They was pan. I didn't think she didn't calm down because of the tears, man. She just started pounding on that old type of woman, like the dinosaur type woman with the womb in them. Yeah, the new type of woman with the testicles was like beating on the old type of woman, and it was horrible. I don't think he was calmed down. I mean, excuse me, she was not calm. Well, maybe that's because she had changed, so no longer will I don't know how it works. Maybe pheromones don't work after you've identified in a different way. Let's read this article. A woman's tears appear to carry the secret formula for easing aggression in men. And that's why all wife beaters, totally fold and stop beating on their wives as soon as they start crying. No, I added that part. Researchers found that sniffing females' tears produced a strange effect among male participants that drink a lot of soy. I'm lying. It didn't say that. I'm bad. Okay, so look, I'll read it right. Effect among male participants in an experiment designed to anger them. Compared to smelling saline solution, sniffing a woman's tears significantly reduced brain activity linked to aggression behavior in men. I think it kind of depends on the type of tears. if you have a female that you have feelings for in your life, and they lost a loved one or, something like that, and they had tears, of course, you're going to calm down and console them and whatnot. Now, if the tears are over you leaving your dirty socks in the floor and them having to repeatedly tell you, I don't think that calm you down. That kind of gives me like a nauseous feeling, a little irritated sensation. Anyway, maybe they should just pepper spray people with women's tears whenever they fight the police. Matter of fact, this is some new technology that we could try out. Not only will we, we can inject some soy instead of giving them pepper spray, which is, very irritating, burns the eyes, agitates people. We could just, we could put soy milk. I don't even know where the soy's nipples are at, but we can extract some milk. Maybe we get some of that almond milk. And again, I don't know where the nipples on the almond are, but, we could get all of these, type of milks together. We put it in there and then we fill it full of woman's tears, preferably one of them women's with a pink hat on top of their head. And then, we just spray that at criminals when they're like robbing and raping people and stuff. And they should totally calm down. Right? Probably not. All right. So, if you have a woozy stomach, you might want to leave, because, this is one of the things that grosses me out in my life. So, I'm not scared of horror movies or, aliens. I'm a little scared of out of control, crazy, democidal governments, but, everybody on the planet has to deal with that. So, the things that really creep me out are bed bugs and German cockroaches, because they're disgusting, and there's just like so many of them. But anyway, this is a trivia article right here. Godmother of blood-sucking insects plots attack in nation's bedbug battle. A medical entomology professor takes center stage in what South Korea fears is the start of the worst bedbug infection in decades. Oh, and those little things are so creepy. They hide in every little crack. And it's so weird because a lot of people that are very cleanly, very hygienic, clean their house, they don't even realize they have bed bugs in there because they don't react to the little venom that the things give. So until they actually see the little things when they turn on a light, they don't even know they have an infestation. And from what I hear, once you've seen them in your bed and once they've started, getting in the furniture and stuff, you've already have a full-blown infestation. Yeah. Kim Jong-han-young is a medical entomology professor at Seoul National University, a prestigious position that allows her to indulge a professional obsession with bloodsuckers. Early on, her parents worried about her career choice. Now she's a national hero. Kim is a noted bedbug killer in the middle of what South Korea fears is the worst infestation in decades. Since the end of the pandemic travel restrictions, more of the blood-sucking bugs are latching onto luggage. Ew. Oh, God. And clothing and making their way around the world. And next thing you know, they're going to be like sticking a Q-tip in your butt to test you and then unfolding all your clothes. I mean, because they already kind of do that. Last time I went to England, the guy was like going through the stitches on my clothes. He fumundled my nuts. I mean, he was the transportation definitely touching agency, man. He went all up in there. It was like, bend over and give me 2 good coughs and touch your toes and all that. You know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all out there, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Kim's research on the insecticide resistance of local bedbugs has drawn scores of media interviews. I've been inundated, the 37-year-old professor said, with all the attention her postdoctoral advisor, John Marshall Clark of the University of Massachusetts. God, why don't you just cut out all your titles so we could get to the point? You notice these articles are like, half of it's their credentials. Jeez, man. We all know bed bugs are gross, and that's cool that you're a hero and you're poisoning them, and I'm so bored I don't even care how. Just burn them. Wider image, Mexico's weed nuns, that's what I'm talking about, want to take the plant back from the narcos. No, that's not the people that tell on you down in other places. Narcos are the ones with the drugs, not the ones that tell on you for the drugs. I always thought that was quite the culture clash, because you grow up here, hey, man, he's a narc, man, he's a narc. And then you go into Mexico and they're like, narco. And I'm like, oh, shit, is he going to tell on me? No, he's the one with the joint, bro. It's okay. Oh, let's see here. Beneath each full moon, On the outskirts of a village in central Mexico, a group of women in nun habits circle around a roaring fire, cleanse themselves with burning sage. That sounds like witchcraft. Oh, God. I thought they were nuns. Anyway, if they're burning the sage that I'm talking about, more power to you. Anyway, and giving thanks for the moon, animals, and plants. That's nice. That doesn't really sound like the Christian religion, but whatever. Then they inhale deeply from a joint and blow clouds, partly cloudy weather, of marijuana into the flames. Yummy. I like these nuns already. Despite their clothing, the women are not Catholic or any other religion. See, I told you, didn't I? They are part of an international group founded in 2014 called the Sisters of the Valley, which has pledged to spread the gospel of the healing powers of cannabis. The United States, where around 24 states have legalized recreational marijuana, excuse me, short-term memory loss, man. Where was it? Oh, yeah, the 12 states, dozens of states have legalized recreational marijuana. The group also launched a successful small business selling CBD tinctures, oils, and salves. Salves? I always screw up that word. Salves? I never knew how to say that. Come on, you guys tell me over. I won't be able to hear you. Don't worry about it. Online, salves, I think. You don't pronounce the L. Is it like salmon? You don't say the L? I mean, if civilization is crumbling down, we might as well just start pronunciating the L in salmon, right? It's salmon, salmonella, and ranking in over $500,000 last year. That's pretty good sales for just some oils, man. But in Mexico, where the drug was and has ravaged the country and Christianity, really? It ravaged Christianity? What? Maybe I misread this. Oh, the drug war. That's right. That makes sense. The drug war has definitely ravaged the lives of millions around the world, killed people, took their homes, their children, their livelihoods, all over what? A plant. Anyway, I digress. In Mexico, where the drug war has ravaged the country and Christianity is embedded in society, the image of marijuana smoking nun is more of an act of rebellion, the women say. The sisters frequent post on social media, primarily Instagram, where they can be seen caring for cannabis crops, giving workshops, and attending cannabis-related events. Their product sales are a fraction of what their U.S. sisters, around 10,000 annually, are. While prominent online, the women, 5 in total, are cautious about giving away too much about their location of their operations. They conduct business out of a 2-story concrete fall storefront with 1 furnished room. Because cannabis sits in a legal gray area in Mexico, and much of its production is still tied to criminal organizations, they worry police or local gangsters could arrive to threaten them or extort them. You know, I don't know, but maybe y'all should look into the Second Amendment down there. I'm just saying, maybe that, maybe if you had like a Second Amendment, them other organized groups wouldn't, want to come pick on you for just a little bit of tweeds. Anyway, well, they would here in the U.S. We had the Second Amendment for a long time. They used to knock raid people and kill people over having a little bit of plants. It's a good thing that at least that aspect of our civilization has moved forward. Unfortunately, the people that pushed it are the same leftist Marxist people that are interested in destabilizing the country. So now you got to wonder, is it a destabilizing agent, marijuana, or the legalization of marijuana? I would say that it is amongst some people. Other people have been living their lives fine, going to work, matter of fact, having a great life, great health, and smoking their entire life. So I guess that's up to you. But here on Mountain High Time, we support that idea. We support the idea that a free human being could pick up a plant and, use it for its medical reasons. And if you're a Christian, don't you remember that part? I have given you all seed-bearing plants to use. Not to lock people up in jail for, but to use in the way that you see fit. Because even in the Christian religion, God had enough faith in humankind to spread out and cultivate, right? And said, I've given you dominion over the animals. That didn't mean to beat them and mistreat them, but to cultivate them, right? Or or at least in my mind. I think the whole Bible's, misinterpreted big time. I've always thought that idea of the mark of the beast was kind of silly, but at the same time, it's so simple. Now, I know all of you guys out there have heard of it and, think about it, and you might think it's BS or not BS. But the idea of the mark of the beast on the foreheads and the hands of those that follow wickedness, I think is a real thing. I just think that it's been misinterpreted, because if you, as a person, sit around and think about bad things, eventually, probably, you're going to do them, which involves your hands, because your hands are what you do things with. So if you have the mark of the beast on your forehead and on your hands, then that describes an evil person that thinks about evil things and does evil things. Now, if you have the mark of righteousness, which, is also in there, or you can think about it in a different, thing. That's a person that thinks good things and does good works with their hands, because the mark of the beast or the mark of the righteousness would be on your forehead. That is where you think ideas. And if you had a mark on your hand or on your thing that you do things with, your hands is what you do things with. So if you're going to do good works or you're going to do evil works, your hands are what's going to implement those evil or good ideas. So indeed, we all have a mark on us. Now, whether or not it's the same thing that people are thinking about, some kind of actual physical, mark like a chip or a transhuman device that allows you to buy and sell, that may also be a reality, whether or not you're part of that religion or not. Because everybody gets some things right, don't they? This might be the biggest lie from the year from the Biden regime, and I'll tell you what that lie is, that the border's secure. So we'll just skip that entire article, because we know what the big lie is, that our economy's good, that our nation's safe, that our borders are secure, and that, they're working to spread this Marxist ideology for our own benefit. That's the message. So that's the big lie. Intermittent fasting seems to result in dynamic changes to the human brain. Thank God for my life. I've intermittent fasting lots of times for various reasons. But yeah, if you really think about it, if you were a descendant from people that moved around outside and worked and chased stuff all day, you would think that, there would be long periods of fasting and then there would be feasting. Let's look at this article. Scientists looking to tackle our ongoing obesity crisis may have made an important discovery. Intermittent fasting leads to significant changes both in gut and the brain, which may open up new options for maintaining healthy weight. Are they trying to say that not eating as much might help you lose weight? Sorry, I choked on that one. Oh, God. That was funny. I'm going to go ahead and say that's a sharticle. I think I already know that. No, of course it's going to lead to your brain and everything thinking differently and rewiring you. If you start to starve, your body tells you need food, or that you need to store it in the form of fat. So whatever you do eat might even gain more fat. And depending on your genes, you might get skinny, you might get fat. And the problem is scientists have discovered all the genes, but they don't really know what they do as good as they say they do, or at least in my opinion. Scientists supposedly have discovered a new way to destroy cancer cells. And I found this one interesting right here. Scientists destroy 99% of cancer cells in the lab using vibrating molecules. Ooh, that might be also how you get them. The cells, I mean. But this doesn't even, surprise me a bit. Actually, it seems like if you had some kind of directed sound, you could destroy any type of cell. So let's dip into the Science Alert YouTube. This is the Science Alert article and not me saying it out of my mouth. Well, it is coming out of my mouth, but I didn't write it. Scientists have discovered a new way to destroy cancer cells, stimulating aminocyanine. Can't even say it. Aminocyanine molecules. Probably didn't say that right. With near infrared light causing them to vibrate and sync enough to break apart the membranes of the cancer cells. Aminocyanine I don't think it's nice to anybody if it's giving you cancers. Molecules are already being used in bioimagery as synthetic dyes, commonly used to low dose to detect cancer. That's kind of cool. So basically, part of the technology to find the cancer seems to be helping destroy it. How about that? They stay stable in water and are very good at attaching themselves to the outside of the cell, and then they can vibrate that and destroy the outer cell wall of the cancer cell. Cool, man. Cool beans. Are they going to let the general public know about it? Here, let me mute this. I think it's muted already. And I wanted you guys to pay attention to this because if you listen to our show, Mayak, I talked about the one that plowed into Jupiter. That was the impact crater, and probably the explosion was probably about the size of the Earth. Now, this one happened on the moon the other day. This is an angle from Japan, and you see that large explosion right there? Here, let's back it up a little bit. In the right hand, or the left hand corner down here, right about where the that's funny, the thing, here it goes, boom. That was like a nuclear detonation right there. Did a rock hit the moon? Maybe the aliens on the moon blew something up. Maybe Russia, China, or the United States blew something up. Or maybe it was just what it probably is a big rock slammed into the planetoid and blew up a giant explosion, which could happen to us at any time. Anytime. Especially with guys up there in space moving them around trying to mine them. What do you think? What do you think? Let me check in the chat room and see what the nice people at Mountain High Time are talking about. Oh, yeah, they like the vibrating. They like the vibrating. I already saw the word vibrating right there in the chat. I'm going to add this virgin as a moderator there. And thanks for joining us, Carol Anderson. I don't know. What did I say at the beginning? I don't know. Don't quote me, man. I don't know what it was. Anyway, let's check out this. Russia, Iran officially ditch U.S. dollar for trade. We called that one. We told you that was coming. Huge surf pounds the West Coast. This is what I was talking about earlier. Rogue waves coming in. I'm sure you guys saw that. A lot of these news articles were actually for Thursday, but I thought I'd just recycle them since we didn't have a show on Thursday night for Mini Ice Age Conversations. And speaking of which, right after the show, join me over at Magnetic Reversal News on YouTube, where the replay of Cosmic Catastrophes should be playing there on their channel, which is another show right here on Revolution.Radio that plays Saturday morning, I believe. I think it's Saturday morning, that is. Don't hate me if I got it wrong. Anyway, so there's a lot of debate, and I've had a lot of questions because people don't seem to understand what Cro-Magnon is. And I've had questions and weird comments about stuff because I don't think people really understand what the term Cro-Magnon is, why I use it, why they don't use it anymore. Anyway, Cro-Magnon versus Neanderthal. What is the difference? In 1868, a small limestone cave outside of a French village, and I'm not even going to say that, in France, a geologist named Edouard Lartet found the first set of specimens showing that modern humans had prehistoric roots right there in Europe. He happened upon the discovery due to a road construction and later uncovered about 4 adult skeletons and 1 infant, dating back to the Upper Pleistocene about 30,000 years ago. The site showed these ancient humans were not only occupying Europe at the time, but that they were somehow sophisticated, having been intentionally buried amongst animal teeth and shells that had been crafted into necklaces and pendants. The scientists called the site Cro-Magnon 1, a name which stuck with these early Homo sapiens until recent years. And basically what has happened is that there is maybe something wrong with the out of Africa theory. And we'll get to that. Being a Cro-Magnon was too tough. Cro-Magnons were early Homo sapiens, and their survival was no easy matter. We can tell from the site that the male skeleton was likely about 50 years old at the time of his death. Researchers can see damage to his bone structure showing he likely had a debilitating fungal infection. Yeah, and that's they don't show that on this article for some reason, but it's pretty gnarly. Anyway, some of the other skeletons had fused spines, indicating that they had endured traumatic injury, and the adult female seemed to have survived a period of time with a skull fracture. The injuries also show that Cro-Magnons probably cared for one another, nurturing each other and their injuries so that they could mutually survive. Who got to Europe first, Neanderthals or Cro-Magnons? Actually, I would say, in my opinion, they don't actually know, because all of the dating, all of the timelines are all dependent on DNA samples and bones that they found in the earth, which is only like probably 1% of any picture that or puzzle that you might be looking at. But anyway, according to Chris Stinger, a paleoanthropologist at the London Natural History Museum, Neanderthals had evolved in Europe for hundreds of thousands of years, which we know that because we found their bones and their DNA says that as well. Using DNA evidence as well as bone and teeth fragments from a cave site in the Sima de los Jesus, I don't know, whatever that is, in Spain, researchers have shown that the specimens date a whopping 430,000 years were Neanderthals, while Homo sapiens didn't get to Europe till about 210,000 years, which, by the way, is a new date at the earliest. But we don't know that either, because now we're finding out that there were other breeding events going back at least to 200,000 years ago. Even just 30,000 years ago, we can see some major differences between Cro-Magnons and Neanderthals. Cro-Magnons were taller, narrower than Neanderthals. They have less voluminous rib cage, and that might have something to do with their stature. And another thing is Neanderthal had more of a V-shaped rib cage, more like a gorilla. And Cro-Magnons had more of a barrel-shaped chest, meaning that it's a totally different shape, and our arms probably hung a little bit different off of their connections. They did have a bigger voluminous cage, and keep in mind that both Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal were more hardy humans than any people alive today. They had thicker muscle connections on the bones. The bones were denser and thicker. Anyway, in some cases, Neanderthal could be as much as half a foot shorter than Cro-Magnons. That would be the short Cro-Magnons. I know a lot of people get this backwards. Actually, Cro-Magnons, i.e. modern humans, were taller for the most part. So if you're a 5-foot Neanderthal and you come across a 6.5 foot, 7 foot Cro-Magnon, well, you're going to think they're giants, aren't you? Neanderthals were shorter and squatter with stubbier extremities, likely because they evolved in a colder part of the world compared to early humans who did most of their supposed evolution in Africa, which I again say we don't really know where people, if you want to use the word evolved, where that happened, because we only have like 1% of a puzzle, and we can only base it on what we found. There are also differences in the skull. For example, the brain case was higher, rounder when compared to Neanderthals. In other words, we didn't have big, elongated head that went backwards. We didn't have giant oversized teeth. We also had a pronounced jaw, which is the only hominin that had a pronounced jaw, which seems to indicate millions of years of agriculture, in my opinion, where they were chewing grain and things, but I digress. There are, all these differences in the skull and whatever. And here's this little part right here, which is key to what's going on here. And you'll see that there's a small amount of Marxism and just idiocy going on in anthropology because they want to tiptoe around subjects. So here it is. Why we don't use the term Cro-Magnon as much anymore. Cro-Magnon is a term that's used earlier on because it was where some of the first specimens found to show ancient nature of humans, says Stinger. But now, by comparison, these aren't really that old. The term Cro-Magnon would only accurately describe Homo sapiens found in the European Upper Paleolithic. Now, why did they say that? Well, it's because there's a wrench going on in their out of Africa story. If humans, i.e. Cro-Magnon or modern humans, were mixing with Cro-Magnon, we're mixing with Neanderthal up to 200,000 years ago, that means that obviously modern humans were in Europe and probably Asia 200,000 or more years ago. Now, sub-Saharan Africans have up to 20% of what they call a ghost species of another hominin, and the breeding event that they say happened there with an individual that was outside of the separation of humans and Neanderthal about 600,000 years ago, but their breeding event only happened 43 to 50,000 years ago. This is long after Cro-Magnon, or modern humans, was all over the world now at this point by their own dates. So, in other words, sub-Saharan Africans did not exist until about 50,000 years ago, meaning that they were a new addition to the Cro-Magnon family, another admixture with another hominin that's unnamed. They call it a ghost species right now. They don't mind naming Neanderthal and Denisovan because when you're talking about those admixtures, you're talking about only Europe, the Americas, and Asia. There are none of the DNA that you find in sub-Saharan Africans are not present in Asians or Europeans. In other words, they did not come out of Africa. It seems more like Cro-Magnon went into Africa, not out of it. Just my opinion, based on what they're saying here. So now we have like 5 different types of humans that Cro-Magnon, the core species, which, by the way, they described as no different than a European at the time. So when you look at a modern European, even the people that were studying the bones and the skulls said, well, Cro-Magnon is basically a modern European. So then that makes you wonder when they start talking about the other modern humans that they find in Africa and other places, what is the difference? And and that shows you what the difference is right there. They said it. Cro-Magnon is a European modern human, even back 40,000 years ago. So they looked exactly like or close to the Europeans of today. And it seems that Cro-Magnon, which they don't want to use anymore, was the core species of what our admixture species on Earth today is. I know there's a lot of back and forth out there with weird pseudosciences, but genes are telling us the story of man a lot better than finding random bones and then coming up with theories and then writing books and then having your theory busted and then unwilling to admit that you were wrong. It's seeming more like somewhere, around the Black Sea area might have been where Cro-Magnon came from, or maybe even in mythological Atlantis or other places we don't know about, because keep in mind the ocean is 400 feet above the levels that it was back in the Pleistocene. So that's a lot of land unaccounted for, a lot of artifacts never going to be found, a lot of information about the histories of mankind, all of them, all of the different kinds of mankind that had now contributed to the admixture species we call human beings on the earth now. Anyway, that was my show. That was Mountain High Time. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. If you're on Revolution.Radio, I appreciate it. And think about joining Mountain High Time's chat, where you get to see like-minded people and kind of talk about the stuff we're talking about. Thanks for all y'all in the chat. I appreciate it. And it looks like we have one more virgin in the audience there that we have to give a wrench to, because I give everybody wrenches, so no one can put you on timeout or tell you to shut up or none of that stuff. I believe in free speech, inalienable rights by our creator, whoever that creator is, and I believe that not just for Americans but all humans everywhere. Unfortunate for the government that this country over here wrote it down on paper, so that idea is now bulletproof. Individual rights. And peace out to Revolution Radio. I'll see you next Saturday for Mountain High Time. And thanks for you guys watching on YouTube. Appreciate it. And that's all I got. It's time to go puff. I heard we had an infused, kind of doobie going on that I'm about to go partake in. It's going to be awesome. I hope the weather is cloudy for y'all out there too. Where was it? Oh yeah, here it is. And enjoy. I'm about to go get low in the rider, if you know what I mean. Low rider.
greatest shit I ever smoked.